Hello, Galactic humans. Didn't think you'd hear that one from me, did you? How is everybody doing? Oh, I wanted to check in with you guys. I've made a couple of little recording videos with all the new info that came in. I had every intention of being back here on the Wesak full moon. And I never thought in a million years that another download was even available for me. And, you know, it was just a couple of days before this last full moon that I figured it came into my awareness, because it's always in divine timing, that the full moon of Scorpio was the Wesak full moon that activated me a year ago. Around May 8th or so. And I woke up really hard a year ago, like all at once. And I knew a lot of ancient knowledge just rushed over me all at once. And so I've spent the last year integrating it. And this is a moment of galactic human history. Really, I think it was the 28th. 29th. I can't remember which day. Everything's been so crazy since that full moon right before it. I released on April 27th because of the shock awakening that I had, which is not normal. It's not normal to get activated the way I was activated, but now I know why. And I'm not ready to share yet the details of who and not necessarily who, but the energy that I carry. But I know some of y'all will feel it. And it's all information that just came in, okay? So it's been integrating, and have reconnected with twin souls. But divine timing, it was right on time, and I almost missed it. Because on April 27th, I hadn't released these final chords that were to my old life and to an old relationship. And I felt like I was getting mentally attacked. And so if you feel like you're getting mentally attacked, and realize you're doing it to yourself. And I'm going to explain a lot more of this in this video, because we remember. We remember everything. We remember why we're here. We remember how we got here. We remember how we utilize the zodiac, the physics. We remember the key codes. And most importantly, we remember why we did it. And this is going to lead me back full circle here. Okay, so stay with me. And I know most of you had heard this, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And until, I guess, what's today? God, I'm losing track of time so rapidly because it's changing. Literally, we're folding time right now. Human beings, our human suits are made of DNA from the earth and from galactic beings. 22 star nations, the Galactic Federation, if you will, 22 different energy signatures of beings, which we all are from, every single one of us. That's our soul, that's where we come from, and we're all different blends. And I talked about this with the Archangel Michael video, but I didn't understand it fully. There were galactic wars that had been going on for millions of years, billions perhaps. And they were mainly going on with two different races of beings. These other beings, the places that we came from, Arcturus and Pleiadians and Lyra, even Antares, these were maternal civilizations. They were always run by women because women have strong intuition, because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We had a group of beings that were galactic beings that were very violent and fourth dimensional. Actually, they're fourth dimensional now. They used to not be fourth dimensional, but I'm going to explain that. So this group, and I don't even want to put names on them right now because this information is so new, and it's so important not to blame and hate and judge, because that's what Earth is all about. And the bloodlines are clean and the karma's done. It's paid. "22 galactic nations, and we had one that was blowing up our planets and causing us to have to drift to different planetary systems. So there's a lot of us that have quite a few starseed lineage locations, and it's because of these wars. The main galactic wars were between the Orions and the Sirians. Sirius is in Cancer. Orion is got a few different star points depending on the faction. Within Orion was a faction of the Orions that, if you want to say, they were the main troublemakers. And this is what you hear with the Draco reptilians. And the Draco faction was the main instigator in these wars. However, we've seen this happen on Earth. It doesn't matter who starts it, because then we just start killing one another, raping one another, stealing from one another, hating one another. And so galactically, this had gone on for millions and millions and millions of years. And the reason that I have specific memories of these things is because of my soul. So I have many starseed locations, and I have a mixture of blood coming from each. And when we awaken the DNA, we awaken all of the DNA. Not just the parts from the benevolent beings, but all the parts. And this is very important. In order to stop the wars, in order to make peace, we all band together, all the star nations, even the Dracos, and we came up with a plan. Because we're multidimensional beings, because we're not really humans, this is before humans, before we made Earth, before the Big Bang, this is the timeline I'm speaking. In order to have galactic peace, and in order to have bodies, and in order to... The only way to have peace is for each side to understand that there is no evil and there is no holy. The holiest of the holy is going to do some bad stuff that we're not going to think is very holy if we judge. And the most evil of the evil loves his children. It doesn't matter who starts it. And since there had been so much devastation and death, above, as above, so below, since there had been so much galactically going on for millions of years, you know, what the plan became to create a free will planet, complete free will. We are the only complete 100% free will planet in the multiverses, because there's way more outside of the Milky Way. You know, Andromeda is our neighbor. There's other planets that have some free will, but there's boundaries. We had complete free will, and I'm going to tell you why. So I'm describing the Big Bang because from a multidimensional perspective, whatever we focus on, we can create. And let me repeat that. Whatever we focus on, we can create. Especially now, because as of, I'm going to say the 29th, I can't remember what day it was because everything was flooding, but there was a tip in the energy. And for the first time, we have burned off all the karma. And a lot of it's because starseeds like me, who had that Draco Unholy 6 faction bloodline, cleared our karma. And when that darkness was completely cleared and processed through an AB negative, which only means an original seed being, and it was the right time, it was all divinely planned. Although I was surprised as heck when it all started happening, because it's not like I knew what was coming. It shifted the planet. It shifted the energy. Everyone's been talking about the event. Everyone's been talking about what this event is. And the information that we have is now, and that's just coming out. I'm talking really slow right now, and I'm trying to just, because there's so much, and so I'm really discerning what needs to be said now. everything that I'm saying is also in the Bible. And it's going to go back to the Sumerian text. What's happening now on the planet is going to tie up all the loose ends back to Egypt, back through the Bible. It's going to actually continue the Bible before it was manipulated. When we formed Earth, you know, first all of the galactic nations and the star councils and the galactic councils, because when we focused, that's how our universe was created, because it was created all with just intent and focus, because it's actually a video game, basically. But after the planet was formed, the rock was formed, we had an atmosphere, which took millions of years. And then we started having, there were gases that were forming, you know, then we waited for plants, and I don't know if the insects came or the plants came, and then we had to have animals, which animals are like the buffers. They're the buffers of the energy on the earth. And then that's when the genetic coding for humans started. And because we were building avatars, if you will, these are skin suits. We are alive, right? I mean, we know this. But we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And what had to happen, you know, when you look back into folklore and you see half man, half horse, and half lizard, half fish, you know, all that actually went down. You know, they found the giants, you know, bones and all that. I mean, that actually happened. That happened because we all did this to one another, right? I mean, we're all spiritual beings. We all signed up for this. And what we did is we all gathered together. This is going back to like the Inky and the Enlil and the master geneticists, and the story came in that, you know, they were building a slave race. And, you know, I don't know about the slavery. All I know is that we were all together making human beings, and the human beings were the bodies that we had, and we were part from the earth, part being, spiritual being, because the body came from the earth. The body came from the genetics of more animal, from the earth, more dense. The earth, if you think of the core is the hot, right? The red, and then it goes out, out, out. Well, when we started, we only had the core, so everything was really, really dense. And then, you know, then we had then we had the reptilians, and we had the dragons, and we had the dinosaurs. So all those genetics from all the different races were being used to build the human. Our souls come in to our human vessels, but every time we were coming back, so we were basically building artificial intelligence, AI, organic AI, flesh suits, basically, so that we could have fun, so we could have sex, so we could eat, so we could dance, and so we could bring peace to the multiverses. Because here's the kicker, and this is going to click it all in with those of us who are on the spiritual path, so I hope you're with me. When we reincarnate, when we come into our physical bodies, and so we've been in quite a few, but our soul has specific energy signatures depending on what star systems we came from, malevolent, benevolent, mixtures of both. And then once humanity started getting going, then we also had the energy signatures of our flesh suit. So there's lineage, as you can see, there's lineage and there's DNA. One part of it comes more from the earthly plane, and then the other part of it comes from the spiritual plane. And these energies then combine in your physical vessel. It had been prophesied that this day would never come, that we would never be completely online. And the reason that it was prophesied that this wouldn't happen is because, now I'm going to go back to it again, you have a spiritual being energy. So let me give you a for instance. So I have Draco Unholy 6 blood. I have a lot of it. I'm one of the original, I'm a dragon, original dragon. So, and I have the most malevolent and the most benevolent, Arcturus and Andromeda and Spica, and because I've got so many, I've been doing this a long time. So for me, it took a lot, like 250,000 years, maybe longer, reincarnating over and over and over again as different people in different dimensions, in different timelines. But I carry both energy signatures. So before 4 days ago, because this is really important because the energy has changed. Before 4 days ago, I would have both energies in me. So let me give you an example. Since I came from the Draco Unholy 6 side, since we know that they have very strong spiritual gifts and they had the rules to the game, they signed up to play the bad guys, but they had also done a lot of the harm. It says in the Bible that we pay for our father's sins. Well, we did. Because that energy, every action has an energy, because we're just all energy. So if I come from a line of a race that rapes women and has a lot of sex issues, right? Then guess what frequency I'm going to have in this physical suit. Well, this happened anyway, but it's cleared now. But I'm gonna attract those experiences because it's within my body. And this is what we didn't know. We didn't know, because every time we came here, we'd be wiped. We were swiped. Well, the reason is because of the peace. So basically what happened was we were reincarnating to clear our karma from the galactic and the earthly planes. And we had to clear all the karma. We had to clear the bloodlines. And then we had to, and while we were doing that, we were creating more karma because we weren't waking up, because this experiment wasn't supposed to last this long. And it wasn't an experiment. It was an experiment because we didn't know if we could do it. I know this is starting to ring a bell from some of y'all. We did it. We did it. So the whole thing was, if who we blamed to be evil experienced and lost the same things, and we knew that in order to clear that energy, to become completely aware and from your heart, because that is how you manifest through, this is where we get into the chakras, because we're all energy. And so, you know, that's why we started out with the caveman, the Aries, the root chakra, because we were in such, we didn't have, you have to have consciousness and you have to have heart, you know, and your chakras have to be running. And we didn't know any of this. I mean, we were coming back here, we were living these lives, we were clearing karma. And then as soon as us as a soul, as a being, had gotten to the point where there wasn't anything else that we could really learn or clear, then a bell would go off in our body and the bell would go, okay, she's ready. And we'd either get sick or we'd get shot or we'd get run over or whatever, and blip, we're out of here. And then we're, sign me up, come back in. That's where the zodiac wheel came in. We came back with plans, and it was all about utilizing the energies that we had. But as soon as we got back here, we didn't know what the hell was going on again. So then, you know, a lot of us women, especially that carry the lower energy frequencies, that's why we experience so much molestation. This is the huge sex trafficking that's going on now, that's starting to unravel. It is unraveling. That's how it started out. It started out that we were coming here just to clean the bloodlines so that everyone could then see the playing field was even. And then once enough humans had hit a balance point, because we are human beings. And so when we cleared enough of this karma and this negative energy, then our consciousness was clicking in. With this is all just happening now. Our consciousness is clicking in. We're raising the energy, the frequency, and then what happens is that our heart chakras open, and all this is coming from the feminine energy. All this is coming from the maternal energy. All this is coming from Venus, the divine feminine in all of us. But here's what happened. See, this was the original plan. And this that was that's happening right now was actually supposed to happen a while back. I don't have a definite number on that, right? But we got hijacked. And when we got hijacked, and see, here's the crazy thing. We planned that too. Because what was happening was we came here to clean our galactic karma, and in doing so, we were killing each other. So then we were having to cleanse our earth karma. And you can't clear karma without a good guy and a bad guy. So those beings that we consider the Draco reptilians, that we consider to be the bad guys, yes, they did manipulate the matrix. They took out the feminine energy. They took out the flow, you know, but it's really just matrix keys and energy shifts. It's the way the energy flows, and so the flow was taken out. But at the end of the day, it was all done so that humanity as a whole and the planet, because we're all one, so whenever we're tied down to the core, to our root chakra, and our root chakra kept us dense, not moving, stuck. What feeds the root chakra? Sex without love, pornography, alcohol, meat, anything that you eat that had fear in it, which I don't know anything pretty much that doesn't have some fear, maybe fish. Whenever you kill it, you eat that fear. It's all about energy. So you want to eat live food. But we didn't know all this stuff. We didn't know all this. We weren't told this. We weren't awake before. We were We were doing everything that our parents used to. You know, when I was born in 72, so my parents taught me what they knew. They didn't know any better. And then TV pops up, and then now we got Lucille Ball, and now we've got this, and then we're trying to mimic them because then we think, well, that's how we're supposed to be. And then that's when we get the media and the video. You know, it's like we didn't know. We didn't know because we forgot. Every time we'd come back here, we'd get wiped. And the reason is we're artificial intelligence in these bodies. This is the artificial intelligence. You're wearing it. And whenever you figure out how to push the buttons, it's pretty dang amazing. And everything that you find out that you know. Because you don't know, now you know. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to stop with that whole conversation. There's a ton more. And as you can see, I'm like dying. I'm trying to talk like this, but it's a little mind blowing, right? But here is the freaking crazy good news. The zodiac scales, right? The Libra scales. Did you ever think why Libra is the only one that wasn't an animal? And why Libras have such a hard time making up their minds? And why it just always seemed that Libras really were never catching a break? Well, it's because Libras were here to balance the energy in these times, right? Meow. And it's because we've had, it's time, number one, we can't, if we would have kept going, we would have blown up the planet. And luckily, it happened. Well, it was all in divine timing, but it still could have not happened. We had, as humanity, we had 4 other chances to break out of this and awaken, and we missed them. Because we needed the energy from the galaxy in order to break free from the geomagnetic grids and the frequencies on the TV and the frequencies in the radio and the food that we were eating, especially in the US, the money, because all this stuff is not real. The only reason that it's real is because we focus on it. The only reason that money is still ruling the world is because we believe it does. So in 2012, we made the shift and we came into this new energy. But what that triggered is all these frequencies in us that had to hurry up and be cleared then. So from 2012 till now, it was like a vacuum. Like where were you in 2012? What were you doing? Because whatever it was, I guarantee that somehow or another you found your way falling back into whatever that was. Because what's happened is in 2012, for the past 6 years, we've been clearing karma, which is why a lot of us have lost a lot of money, had maybe been tried to kill us. There's a bunch of us that had those situations happen. It's been nuts. And we just thought our worlds were falling apart. Until we were shock activated and we were like, whoa, now I'm kind of remembering what the hell's going on. But what's happening right now is when we made this energy shift, there was enough souls, whether or not they're conscious or not saying it, but they knew inside, the beings in them knew it was time, that we couldn't continue like this. And so when that happened, collectively, our frequency raised enough. And once we raise the frequency on the planet, especially us starseeds and especially ancient starseeds, then we are holding up the ceiling to allow other people, other humans to open up their thought processes. And this raises the consciousness. So there was enough of us to do that. And so when in 2012, when the energy changed, then that's when we started having, and it was going, you know, all these, the different planetary alignments that I've been talking about this whole time on the channel, you know, the ones that haven't been seen for 700 years and 1,000 years and 25,000 years. It started triggering those sequence of events. The end goal was to get the planet a little bit over 50% cleared. And so those of us who were AB negatives and those of us that were clearing this ancient Draco bloodline, when we activated in the collective, because we have original seed DNA, then that means that a lot of you have our DNA too. And this is where the RH negatives come into play, and this is why you should give them a hug. It's not going to matter anymore after this time. The RH negatives, we just had to come in order for our DNA sequences to be here so that we could have these memories, so we knew what the game was. So whatever you're remembering from your Earth bloodline, and you're remembering from your galactic bloodline. And we all have different gifts and knowings that are coming online. So we all have different gifts and knowings that are coming online. So those of us that are RH negative, especially people like me, souls like me, that had to clear so much over so many dimensions, over so many timelines, because of the side I was clearing. As soon as that cleared out of the energy fields, because just me clearing it cleared out the energy fields of the entire bloodline. This is why you hear spiritual people saying, as soon as you clear it, it's done. And then your family upgrades. Like I've seen it. I've in my life in the past year, I've jumped many timelines, and I went from not knowing anything about my family to finding out that they're Wikipedia worthy. And it was because I was being guided many different ways to and through these clearings. So on the 27th, 28th time frame, just however many days ago that was, I cleared all the karma. And as soon as I did, I knew it was completely done. I was completely done. I have no fear, none. I have no fear. Fear is just a frequency in your ear. I have no fear of anything. I have no fear of the Dracos. Because I have all the keys now, because as soon as I cleared that karma, then all that knowledge unlocked. And then all that karma was cleared from the other bloodlines. And then that knowledge was unlocked into them. So it started a ripple effect. And then it wasn't just me. I'm not the only one on the planet. So this is what was happening with that energy surge that came in. And so the 144,000 are completely online. We have 144,000, the legion of 144,000, we're here. And so that this information on the dark, how to manifest, how to the flow, the key codes, all that information is now available in the collective. And so many of you have had these awakenings. As you continue to clear your karma, which this is so important, none of this is personal. This is where they got us. When you have an emotion, it's only an emotion attached to the past. And so, RH negatives, please know that whatever you're going through, as soon as you let it go, let it go. Just let it go. It doesn't matter what they did, what they said. Stop saying it, because you're repeating an old story and you're not creating a new one. It's all about creating a new story. We're spiritual beings, which means we don't need the technology. We don't even need all this technology. We don't even need all these buildings. We don't even need healthcare. All that's bullshit. All of it's complete and utter bullshit. The only reason that all that stuff is needed is because we're programmed to think we need it. Why do you think in the Bible everyone was living for like 300 to 900 years? It's because they were. I mean, we didn't, that's why we weren't waking up. We were dying. But we were killing ourselves because we were believing the bullshit, because we couldn't remember. Because we got hijacked and they took out the feminine energy, so nobody was following their intuition. Well, how the hell do you live a spiritual life if you're not listening to your intuition? You can't. So we didn't. So we stayed asleep. So that the zodiac and astrology, the physics, all the matrix, the technology, I mean, all of this had to be invented. Time, space travel, the gas that went in the mask. I gassed myself for real. Like, all this was this divine plan. And the scales have tipped. And when that full moon released all and burnt, and now we've got the grand fire trine, now we're completely in click with the zodiac, and now I'm getting messages since it's locked in, and now we're like all locked in. Now we've got twins that are coming together, you know, because the original seed, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, those were twin flames, the 2 and the 3 that make the 1. And I don't want to go there. That's where we're going to stop today. When you're done clearing your karma, whenever you can stop reacting and understand that just this information right here is going to elevate your consciousness. When you wake up and remember that none of this was personal, that we signed up for everything. We created everything. Everything that came against us, every loss, every pain, we did it to ourselves to clear the karma for all of it, for not just humans, for not just the Milky Way, for multiverses. And when now that we're bumping up, and a lot more is coming, because this is just the tip of this is just the awakening that's happening up here. So now we've got the 144,000 awake, and then all the ones that are connecting with them. But each soul has a choice. You can choose not to ascend. But I've been told from the highest of high, it doesn't matter what they did, in their very last breath, if they ask to ascend, then you grant it and you help them. But it is their free will. So they can choose to heighten their perception and understand and understand, and a lot more of this story is going to start coming out. And I mean, it was the blood wars, right? This was all the blood wars for the control of the AI, of these avatars that we're just now relearning why we built them and how we built them. But trust me, that information, believe it or not, a lot of it is in me, and I don't know how the heck that happened, because physics. Remember, I'm like trying to figure out astrology. Now I'm like, oh yeah, it's crazy. It's so cool. And telepathy, you know, we don't need the computers. We have telepathy. This is why I couldn't do the buttons. This is why our children understand this easier than we do, because they're closer from the source. So when they got to the other side and came back, you know, it was like this was more online to them. So when we cleared that karma, especially us ancients, when we cleared that karma, what happened was it basically is folding time. And the past 7 years, to 2012 are collapsing. That timeline is collapsing. And so it's kind of like you might be picking up where you left off in 2012. Also, what's happening is these dark clouds that are kind of hovering over the U.S. that they're telling us are fires. The only reason they're telling you it's fires is because if enough people think that it's fires, then they will manifest fires. And if you go look at these news clips and really look at the numerology, there's always going to be something equal in 9. For sure, because 9 is an energy number. See, this is the spiritual knowledge that we got left out because the maternal energy left. So then we didn't have the mind and the heart, the spirit. We didn't have all these spirit. What was the vibration of it? You know, all this was information that we were told was evil. And so then we didn't go search it out. So then we never found out that they were just telling us that this stuff was going on so that we would think it, so that we would create it. So be real careful about what you agree to and rethink where the information came from. If you see something on the news, before you go telling people about it, Google it and see if you can at least find something on it that's not on a cable network. The planet has been saved. The planet will ascend. But this marks the 7-year tribulation. The tribulation. This is how many souls are we going to bring with us? And so there's a battle for them right now. And some won't make it. And remember, some chose not to. Some just came here to hold the light so that the ancients could awaken, so that we could get this ball rolling. Because whenever we fold time, I'm already seeing, I mean, now the double simming is basically the RH negative from the future. When the bloodlines were cleared in the past 3 or 4 days, what happened was it happened all at once. It was like a complete swipe to all of us in our energy fields. That's why we all got these consciousness upgrades over the past 4 or 5 days. But know that there's way more coming. And there's going to be huge waves coming in with the different planetary alignments. And Uranus is going into Taurus, so Gaia is also ascending, you know, the planet that we live and breathe on. So, and she's been through hell. And there's some changes that she's going to have to make. There's some energy that she has to release in order to move up into space. So there's going to be most likely some earthquakes and some volcanoes, and I don't want to go too much there, but that could manifest that way because somehow or another she has to release. But know that there are some background people here. Not everyone has a soul here. But the ones that do pass away, most of them are either choosing to stay in the lower matrix, which there still will be another matrix, and they'll live there for, you know, once there's a complete separation, which will probably take a couple of generations, you know, they're not never coming back. Their souls aren't going to hell, but this is what hell was kind of defined in as the Bible, right? I mean, it doesn't mean forever. They will have another chance to ascend, but it's going to be a while because it has to come all the way back around. So we're talking probably a click, you know, around 1 million years. But they can, okay? So those of us who are raising our consciousness, raising our vibration by choosing to love and understanding that there is no hate and remorse. Like, we're here. There's more than enough of everything for all of us to live a beautiful life full of fun and dancing and love and art and magic, because all the planning that needs to go into business and the money and the you don't need any of it whenever you have your vessel fully online and you're manifesting through your heart and you're speaking your truth and you don't lie and you tell the truth and you realize that when you don't do that, that crap comes right back at you times 10 and now it's like, liar, it's that fast. So, you know, when you get bumped up, you don't have to worry about people as much because you feel their energy and you resonate to them. And this is heaven on earth. And this is what we fought for. This is why we warred against each other. This is why we did this to ourselves, so that for the rest of eternity, all these galactic star nations and all the human in us, for the first time, we're 50% galactic, 50% human, and now it's party time. So, trust me, there's like billions that are like waiting to jump in right now. There's like partying going on up there for real. And we did it. So, way more to come. I know this was probably a little bit longer than normal videos. I'm not sure what all's in store because we have a lot to think through. We have a lot to figure out how to manifest the new world. And lots more to share. The most important thing is to really understand this and watch it again, because you're going to pick up different things and it's going to click and make some sense. And then it will help you get through the emotional part quicker whenever you're able to understand that it has nothing to do with you personally, and that all you have to do is face the fear and let go. It doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account. Don't pay any attention to that because it doesn't matter. As soon as you let go and your frequency raises, and if you really need something, trust me, I had to learn this. I have no coin. I'm calling it coin right now, but I'm not worried about it at all. But I had to learn because then I didn't have anything, and so that was like a part of the last stuff that I was clearing. And I'm fine. Everything's cool. I don't show money any attention. I'm too focused on how to get programs out there. And this is what we've waited for millions of years. And trust me, there's tons of us that have been working and doing these things but didn't even know that that's what we were doing them for, or they were projects that were halfway done and then we had to put them away. And now all that's coming back online because we're all energy, so we're resonating and we're connecting with each other telepathically, and we're getting drawn to each other. So can I get a hoot hoot? I'm just so happy. I really am. I'll talk to y'all soon.